Welcome to a Drop Tent Media production.
The Porcupine with Adam Nutter.
Yo, what is up? I'm gonna try, and I still don't know what to call you guys. Pricklers? Nah, it's lame as fuck too. I'll figure it out eventually. I'll figure out what to call you guys eventually. Welcome to the Porcupine episode, I think 17. Welcome. I am Adam Nutter. Thanks for tuning in. As always, real quick house cleaning stuff out of the way. Of course, follow me at Adam Nutter and all the social media stuff. Please, if you're listening to this, go to my YouTube. Fucking build up my shit. YouTube.com/Adam Nutter. It's this podcast and also some stand-up clips are on there. Go check that out. Of course, download the audio everywhere. It's available fucking every single platform you fucking can be. I don't know if I can put this out before then or not, but yeah, fuck it. September 30th. Yeah, for sure. September 30th, I'll be at the Comedy Works in Bristol, PA. Come on out to that. And then October 15th, I'm opening for Aaronburg and Chalfont, PA at the Pop-In. Come on out to that, too. Tickets will be available for those things very soon. That's enough from me. All right. Guys, my guest for today, one of the founders of the Tower Gang and, of course, the No Way Jose podcast. Give it up for my man, Jose Galison. What's up, dude?
What's up? Just chilling, just living the life, helping my kid with homework, shit like that.
How's that? Do you feel dumb? Like trying to figure out
kind of. But dumb, but like super smart at the same time, because it's like you look at this shit and you're like, well, I don't know this because I'm way past it, you dumb fuck.
like
let's talk economic theory.
It's like you wouldn't get it because I'm superior to you, but you figured out where Spain is. I don't fucking know. It's your job, bro. Just can you put my headphones up a little bit now? I'm sorry. Thank you, sir. No, dude, thank you for, of course, coming on and doing this with me. So, of course, first question I usually always ask everybody is what brought you to the Liberty Movement, because it's so fucking vague. Like, everybody always asks and talk to. So, like, not the party. Fuck the party. It's like, what brought you just to the movement, like, of liberty, like freedom and all that stuff?
I mean, for me, it was probably like a slow grind. And I do want to say, yeah, thanks for having me on, too. I love doing appearances because it just means I got to reuse this later as an episode. And I don't actually have to do that much work, But anyways, yeah, no. What brought me to Liberty Movement? It's probably like it was essentially a slow grind and then all at once kind of deal. Like, I mean, I kind of started getting to like podcasting and listen to it. I think I started with like Crowder or Shapiro. I don't know which came first, and I kind of took that route. And slowly, then I got to Rubin, who's a little bit more libertarian, and then I think I started listening to Rogan, and then like because he would have cool guests, because I wanted to like expand my like I don't know beyond, because you kind of don't really know, like when you're getting like podcasting stuff, it's like hard to find shows. So Joe Rogan's like great for that, like because it's like he has all different shit, and you can kind of pop in and out when it sounds like something you'd be interested in or not. But yeah, no, I think, and then I think Dave Smith came at one point, and I fucking listened to him, and I listened to him for probably a couple years, where I was still in that like minarchist, but you can kind of like, I don't even really have to give you like what I was throughout these, because you can kind of tell by what I was listening,
right.
what I was, starting with Shapiro, I was kind of more that initially, but yeah, by the time I listened to Dave Smith, I was kind of like minarchist, and he would talk about being an anarchist, and I kind of like, oh, okay, that's cute, and then like, I don't know, he like wore on me over time, would always talk about Anatomy of State. And I finally, after listening to a couple of years, I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'll read it. I read Anatomy of State, and I was like, holy shit. Because I'd gotten to the point where I was like, I was a minarchist, but I was a minarchist in the sense that like I just thought the state was necessary, but I completely knew that it was evil. It was just that like this is a necessary evil. Because I kind of can't really get with minarchists who are like, it's necessary and it's not evil. If you at least can accept it's evil, you're just like accepting this contradiction within yourself. Then okay, cool, whatever. But that's where I was at. And the Anatomy State was kind of like really like got me to be like, oh, it's not necessary. Like, and because I don't know, and I did a whole episode with Dave on this. Like we broke it down,
that was a great episode, by the way.
Yeah. Oh no, I appreciate it. And that too was like weirdly like kind of a beautiful moment, because it was like now I'm like literally with the dude who convinced me to read the book that made me an anarchist, breaking it down. So I had a chub, so that was pretty dope. But yeah, that's what did it for me. So I mean, that's kind of the route I went. And then obviously once I became an anarchist, I went a little down different paths, but I was still kind of in that same space already. Because then it was just kind of just like exploring different different aspects of it. Because I'm sure we'll probably get into like Konkin and Stirner. Like those were kind of ones that influenced me as well. But even then, those were like I was already in like anarchy land. Like now I'm just exploring different parts of it.
Yeah,
So,
and like no, you brought up Stirner. I definitely do want not yet, but I definitely get that in a little bit. But like even like for me, like I'm not the best overall well-read like libertarian guy. Like I know we all have the same things we've read, but then like as far as like again, we talk about Stirner on Jacob Wintergrad's podcast, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of what I feel like sometimes. We'll get into that later, but then I did my own research on it. I was like, all right. But then you're like, I kind of a little bit of commie in him. It's like not really, but
well, he wasn't.
I know.
Not to jump ahead, but he kind of like transcends that in a sense.
Yes, we
will
definitely.
Not to jump ahead, but the ANCAP like ideology for me fits within the Stirner ideology, and the ANCOMs probably are the same thing. It's like kind of what undergirds the belief in a sense. But yeah, sorry, not to.
No. Because I definitely do want to talk about that because we had like a mini conversation about that on Jake, and I want to like flesh that out a little more on mine. Yeah, okay, so it's interesting. Also, totally unrelated, but I don't know if you know this about me. I am also a gigantic comic book nerd, and I have a $16,000 CGC graded collection. Like it's fucking nuts. Is that an Invincible? Is that an Invincible #1 behind you? Invincible number one.
Yeah, it's Invincible #1.
Dude. I was trying to before the show existed. I was trying to get my hands on that at a decent price, and I couldn't find. Now it's fucking impossible.
I don't know when I got that or where I got that. To be honest, now that I think about it.
Valuable, sir.
Well, shit. Like I was about to say, I didn't mean to. I was gonna, but I didn't want to throw off your vibe. But like, yeah, no, I'm not that kind of comic book guy. Like, I don't get. I mean, like, I obviously am into collecting, but not in like the. Well, this one's graded a level A, 4.
They're numbers, sir. I will not take the slander on this podcast. I give a fuck. There's no comic book slander on this podcast. Just shut it off. We're done. No slander.
Like, I legitimately just enjoy the art form. Like, I mean, I understand like being collector. I'm not a collector in that way. I'm a collector and that's fucking cool. I want it.
No, listen, I was like a 90s comic book nerd. Like back when I was like, my dad got into comics when I was like 6 or 7. So like I grew up reading comics. Like that's my thing. So when I started getting older and getting money, I was like, oh, I'm totally collecting. then you said I have a giant collection from like when I was a kid from my dad's collection. And then you just set them down to get graded. And it comes back, you're like 9.4? Fucking sweet. How much did this go for? Oh, 800. Dude, I have the first appearance of Deadpool, okay? At a 9.2 grade. I got that comic book at $120. I checked last night. It's $900.
Nice.
Now I'm never gonna sell it.
Yeah,
I'm never gonna sell it. But nerd shit fucking comes into play. But that Invincible, I'm telling you, that's like a few $1,000 comic book if it's a high grade.
Well, shit. I mean, if things get rough, I'll remember that. I'm not that tied to it. I mean, it's cool because I like Invincible. But
I'll buy it from you for $5. I meant it is $5.
It's fucking worthless.
Well, it's actually worthless. You should have given me to take off your hand, the burden to
you. No, I think I legit, because I mean, if you can't tell, those are like a stack of books. But like I usually will just every once in a great while I'll switch them up to like just to change the aesthetic a little bit. And for me, I was just like, oh, I like Invincible. That's cool art. That's like original. That's like first issue. Okay, cool. And then I didn't think anything of it aside from that.
I see you have the Death of Jean Grey. I have that one.
Oh, wait. Which one are you looking at? Are you looking at these back here?
All of them. But yes, right now.
Yeah, these are actual comics. Those are posters.
Oh.
These are comics over here. So those ones that you're looking at.
You have some banger comic books behind you.
No, those would be bangers. Yeah,
I was like,
I know enough to know those are some. Some shit.
I do have the Death of Jean Grey, but that is it on that wall. It's the only one I have. I don't have any.
Yeah, no, those are all like super classics. So like, if I had those, like that'd be fucking.
I thought those were in the protective cases, you motherfucker. You had like cock tease from me. That's why my dick's so hard. I think the Invincible one is cool though.
Maybe that's why I had one comment on one of my videos once. No, it was the episode with Dave. On Tower Power Hour, someone commented on it that was like, I don't like that Jose guy. He just seems like he's trying to show off all the cool stuff he has. And I'm like, I'm not even like a collector in that kind of way. If anything, I'm not like poor, like, but I'm more like middle class. So like, this is more just like random shit I got that I thought was cool. It's mostly like a collector's, like a poor man's collection,
Hey, we're the same. We're called middle class trash. That's what we are. Yeah. So we display our like these are like our souvenirs. These are like our trophies of battle. Like I got.
But if those had been actual legit, I could be like, okay, yeah, that is a little bit of a hard flex.
Yeah, no, that Invincible 1 is the actual legitimate flex right now. I don't have
Yeah.
that shit. I fucking would love that shit. That's fucking cool as fuck.
Well, shit.
Yeah, sorry.
You want to go through the rest of my comics? Let me know what's good and what's not.
Dude, yeah, I will. That's how much of a fucking nerd I am. I was like, yeah, I actually would love to do that for free and just totally do it, 100% do it for you.
There are a couple in there that I know are legit fucking like worth some shit. Because my mom got once just was at like an auction and got like some random box, and there were some like amazing ones in there. I don't know. I'll have to show you some other time because that's not really fun content.
No, it's but it's fun for me. So definitely show me another time for sure.
Yeah.
All right, but going back on track. All right, so that's what we got in the living room. All right, cool. Now you again, and me too, which is interesting. Reformed atheist, I guess.
What do you mean by that? Just like not angry atheists?
Yeah.
Or former theists? Like
no, wait. I'm sorry. Yes. Non-angry atheist, former theist.
Okay.
I'm a former atheist. Sorry, I was conflating both of our things. I was a former atheist. So like I was raised Catholic, right? Like did the whole stuff.
So you were an atheist before, but now you're not?
Yes. Now I'm like agnostic. I'll get to this. I'll get to it. So
you're an atheist then.
Yes, that's what I want to get to. So this is my point. So
okay,
like,
go ahead.
So like, okay, so I was, baptized, confirmed, all that shit, right? Communion, whatever. So I'm technically Catholic by those standards. Went to Catholic high school, know all the shit. But, around like junior high, you're like, this seems fucking off. Like the whole this. So I never believed in like the Christian God and that. And you like any kid, you kind of rebel against your parents and you kind of turn against that. And from that, I went to just hardcore atheist. I was like, oh, there's nothing. I mean, like you just die. There's nothing. Then as I got older, I still don't believe in any earthly religion. I just got to the point of like, hey, I think it's cocky of me to be like, I definitively know nothing created us, or there's nothing like it could be aliens could have made us. We could be something else. There could be a guy in the fucking sky. I doubt it, but there could be. My point is, I'm on the I don't know train because it sounds like cocky to me, or like know-it-all-y to be like, there's nothing. It's like shut up, nerd. You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't know, like because no one truly knows. So that's my route. That's how I went, and then you went you were a believer.
Yeah,
just
I was pretty hardcore.
Right to angry atheist. Yeah. To just complacent atheist. I guess.
But even then, I would never say, because I would say that probably more accurately what you were before was a Gnostic atheist, and now you are an agnostic atheist. Because the way I describe it, I mean, obviously words are subjective, so you can kind of it's whatever you want it to mean. But generally speaking, Gnostic or agnostic are questions of knowledge, and then atheist or theist are questions of belief. So like I like to think of it as like the political compass, kind of like where you have on one vertex or whatever the fuck it's called. It's like atheism, theism, and the other one it's fucking Gnostic, agnostic. And I've always said for a while that like Gnostics are the ones I don't like. Like if you're like I know, then you're like no you don't. Like you don't. Like even when I was an angry atheist, I wasn't like I still don't think I was ever like a Gnostic atheist where I was like I know. I was just more like irritated that I kind of have been sucked into all this bullshit. Because even now, I still kind of see the Bible as bullshit. I mean, I'm trying not to be an asshole about it, but I mean, that is my genuine feelings on the matter. But I don't know. But I'm still like open to the idea there's a God out there. I would say that like you could probably make a pretty good argument that he's an asshole because like. I mean, it's pretty philosophically consistent to be like, well, I mean, if you look at all this shit and you look at all this stuff he made. And you're all knowing, so you knew how this was going to turn out. So you're kind of a cocksucker. Right. I mean, it doesn't mean you're not God or didn't create it all, but you're kind of a dick. Right. So I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I actually didn't even think of it until you mentioned it. That's actually kind of the beginning of what led me down to liberty because like I was super religious growing up. And like I went to Christian school and everything. And like I don't think I lost my virginity until I was like 17 or some shit. And then I went fucking buck wild. But yeah, I started like when I kind of lost my religion or not even lost, I kind of like started slipping away and I just like, I don't know if I buy this. And my parents like kind of would like give me shit and were always like trying to bring me back into it. And they would always like question me on this or question me on that. And I'd be like, then I eventually was like, you know what? I'm going to fucking do a deep dive, study all this shit, like look into it. That way they can't fuck with me. And also part of me too was like, I kind of want to like see if I'm wrong. I don't really necessarily want to be an atheist. I want to look into this. And I kind of like got really into like philosophy and like, especially and specifically in relation to like atheism, theism. And it just kind of, if anything, just logically, it made me kind of come to the conclusion that I was right in having doubts. And yeah, and then those logical tools I developed during that time kind of like bled over into like where I'm at now, because I kind of am able to apply those same things, to lead me, because you learn about fallacies and shit like that, because most people don't even know how to properly use logic, you know what I mean, like at all. And that's why we have these idiots running through the world, because they don't even know how to properly, like, they make bullshit arguments that are insanely fallacious that anyone with like that's remotely intelligent can be like, well, that's just like, well, just because Fauci said it doesn't mean it's true, like, or so, like, for example, but like they don't even realize it. They just like accept that as an argument, this because they don't even understand how to properly use logic. So yeah.
I had a conversation with my mom the other day about just like God and religion stuff, and she's a old school Catholic, you know what I'm saying, like totally like there's a God and I'll save my family in heaven. And I was just doing the same thing with what I was telling you. I was like, yeah, but how do you know? I'm not even saying you're wrong. All right, like I'm not even saying you're fucking wrong. I'm just saying like and then the confidence, you'd be like, I know. It becomes like this circle of an argument, because every time you tell like a really religious person or a believer, they go, well, that's faith and it's how God wanted it. I'm like, well, I can't argue that. Like what do you say to that? It's like I guess like, but then like, this conversation's over, because like you don't want to extend it past that logic, past your logical truth, which is well, there has to be a God. And I'm like, yeah, but what is this? Like, there is no if there's not. It's like, no, there is. It's like, but okay. I don't understand how to break that, or even not even break that, but just see that side. I can't see their side.
Yeah, and a lot of that too comes down to like an argument from consequence, because sometimes you'll get them in a place and then they'll kind of like be like, well, you got a good point there, but no, I believe in God, because if that was true, then this, like, oh, if that was true, then that means I'm not going to heaven. And you're like, well, logically speaking, that like the conclusion doesn't make a difference on like whether it's true or not. You may not like the conclusion, but like, and that's what a lot of it does come down to, that like, well, if that's wrong, then we're just brains in a vat, or we're just stardust. And I'm like, I'm not even asserting that, but it's like, assuming that is a conclusion, I mean, that doesn't change the fact that what you're saying is illogical, you know what I mean? So
we kind of are stardust, though, when you think about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
sort of, yeah, I guess.
We are made, right? If that's what we're thinking, we are made from the earth, which was made from an explosion. That's the other thing too. It's like the age-old question, right? It's like, all right, but let's say there is the Catholic God, right? There's a guy with the beard and fucking, right? It's all legit. Well, what made him? Like,
yeah,
there's always that beginning and end. And again, their argument is like, well, you don't have to know that. I'm like, well,
yeah, and that's one of the major fallacious things about God too, is that he's this like God, I wish I could remember the term. There's a term for it, but it is kind of this like, he is this exception to logic. Like right. he's allowed to. You're like, people will be like, well, everything has to come from something, and then they're like, that's why we need a God. And like, well, exactly like you said, like, well, then where did God come from? They're like, he made it all. And like, well, you can't, like, you just get to make this thing, this exception to the, like, you're essentially providing this logical like argument, and then making this thing that's an exception to it to be able to be this catch-all to somehow get me. Like, no, you're in the same position I am. We both don't fucking know.
Right. Yeah, it really is. Like, they're like, I got you. I'm like, you got no one. You just fucking, you think you got, like, yeah, because you went around in a fucking circle. You think you're smarter than me?
Yeah.
But even if you take the scientific conclusion, like Big Bang, I can't wrap my head around that either.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I don't even necessarily accept that either. I mean, once we get like to a certain point, obviously there is a very much like, I don't know, maybe. I mean, that seems right. to be the best guess. I don't fucking know. Because I mean, like I said earlier, I may even be willing to say that it's fairly likely something created this, but it's like, I don't know what the fuck that is. It could legit be like Lovecraft is God, where it's literally a dreaming God and we're just his dream, and he doesn't give a shit about us. We're just like no different than like a fart, like we don't matter to him. Like there's a bajillion different like ways this could go down, and they don't even all have to be a God. Like, and just, I mean, we don't fucking know. It really is just as simple as being like, I don't know. And that's
Yeah.
what most people conflate with like Gnosticism, which I mean, whatever. I mean, I don't care. I kind of being a stickler for definitions, I guess. But I mean, I could just go by agnostic, but then it just kind of makes me
What you call it
spurred.
again? An agnostic theist, you said?
No, agnostic atheist.
Oh,
Is what I
right,
mean.
right.
But
I'm an
but there are
agnostic atheist, right.
agnostic theists. Like I even talked to Daniel. I think you've had him on your show, Daniel. Well, not Daniel. His name's Jacob, but then he has a Daniel 3 podcast.
Yeah, Jacob,
Yeah. What the fuck's his name?
Jacob Winograd.
Yeah, but he's even said that he doesn't pretend to know. This is just what he believes, and that's fine. So for me, that's like, okay, cool. At least we can both be like, I don't know, this is kind of what I believe. At that point, we're just talking about like what convinces you, and like you can't really say what convinces someone isn't wrong or not. Like, so for him, he buys into this belief system. I mean, whatever. I can't say he's wrong into buying in that belief system. I don't. He has a different standard of logic or of evidence than I do, or he knows shit I don't.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think also as I've been getting older, I've just been freaking out about fucking death lately. I don't know why. Just like because it's that fear of like it's a fear of the unknown, right? The fear of and like again, it could just be lights are out, like how it was before you were born, right? Nothing, and then there's nothing. But like it's like I like life, like you only know this.
Yeah.
So it's that grapple that we have as all I think human beings we all have it where it's like, but I want to know.
Yeah,
like I need to know what the fuck I'm in store for because especially me, I hate the unknown. Like I hate just for waiting stuff. Like for any type of waiting situation, just tell me. Like you could tell me up front, and then the wait doesn't bother me. But it's the waiting to find out that fucking I grapple with all the time, and death is like that's my new grappling thing I'm with. Like it's in my new grapple.
Yeah. No, dude. When I was in the military, they would like in basic training, they would like put you at like attention. And like at like you're the whole fucking it sucks to be attention for a long period of time. It's not like they tell you like how long you're gonna be. They just go and then they're just like, you don't know. I mean, there'll be times where they sit there for like 30 minutes, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on here?
Am I being punked? What the fuck is happening?
No, they would. That legitimately is what they do. They do like basically are punking you. That's basically what basic training is. And most it's just
it's a giant
people
punk.
fucking with you. Like for
Ashley Kutcher comes out like, we fooled you go to Afghanistan. Look into the camera.
Yeah, no, they're like they're basically not get another tangent, but with a lot of people think it's like this like badass like shooting guns and learn how to fight. Like most of it's just them literally playing mind games with you. Like they're trying to like break you down and like just mess with you and try to get you to do things to certain standards. And then they're going to be insanely strict upon them. And then once you've got it down, then they kind of let up. And it's kind of when they're like, oh yeah, good job. So it's like, they're kind of like, it's clearly just a big mind game.
Right.
Like they're just trying to get you to like conform, essentially what it comes down to.
I think a lot of it too is like, I've never been in a war scenario.
Me either.
But but I feel like a lot of that is almost preparing you for like when you're out there, like in the actual fight, just be only focusing on that fight. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like it's almost I feel like it's such a very fine-tuned thing. Like fine-tune all your attention because if you're in it, you got to put all that shit into one thing, and like hopefully all those will come into just one full circle of your talent pool. Yeah. That's how I envision it has to be, right? Like just to completely get you focused down on like a fucking life or death situation.
Yeah, I mean it is kind of smart. I mean I could definitely apply like logic to why they do that. Like it's not just some like status stuff that we want to, because not everything is just because government bad. Like there is something too. Like this is born out of I mean, in modern days, it's a little bit silly they do that, but it's just a tradition that's born out of the past. And it was like, if you were at war, you'd be like, hey, we need these people to go here. And like, if you're some dude is going, like, well, why should we do that? Like, no, just shut the fuck up and do it.
I can't explain. So
that's kind of what they're trying to get you into.
Bombs are coming from there. Go yeah, it's too much. All right, that's why you have command.
Yeah,
exactly, and rank and file for sure.
Yeah. But the only problem with that, though, is then obviously those same people that you're like making automatons are one day going to be people giving out orders. So it is a bit of a mind fuck in that sense, because it's like, well, they're just going to be doing the same thing as someone else above them that was trained the same way. So
and before you get to stop it, like there was some good news actually said about like not everything's about like status stuff, and I think military for sure, obviously as much as it is, a lot of it isn't, and there is something to be said about like getting humbled, and like as a person, like. Excuse me, like regardless of female, male, whatever, I think that, and that's, I think, the perfect place to probably get fucking humbled.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, that's kind of the same social phenomenon that occurs, like, say, for example, on Twitter, with like the way that we basically bully people. Like Fat Dave put it well on Tower Power Hour once, where he said, it's like basically we're going to either bully you into being better or we're going to relegate you to irrelevancy.
Right.
So like those are kind of options. That's the same thing that happens in like fucking when you're in high school and fucking sports, or even just a group of men, like, I mean, even just in general, that like say at your work site or whatever. It's that same phenomenon where you kind of essentially identify the fags and fucking oust them. And I don't mean in a gay way. You're like,
No,
who's the fucking loser who can't roll the punches? Because we either need to make him better or make him not want to be here.
No, yeah, no. I mean, especially in comedy. I mean, like, if we're hanging out with other comic we don't know, and like we're busting their balls, and like they can't take it. Like, all right, well, you're not gonna be in this circle of friends.
Yeah. So yeah, get better or get out.
It's the same thing. Like, take the joke or get the like. It's even before I was a comic, like in old jobs, like whatever circle of friends you're in. If you're that friend group that busts balls, and like, you know, someone comes in and they just can't take it, it's like, all right, we're not gonna fuck with you, but we're not gonna hang out with you.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like all right, cool. So you're that person. Well, now what comes to you is on you, man. We gave you the fucking chance. We gave you the out. You didn't take it. Now go into irrelevancy. I mean, that's
if you want to be a loser, that's your thing. I don't care.
Right. Our philosophy says you can do that.
Yeah.
Talking about philosophy. Okay, so this is what I do want to get into. The Stirner stuff. Because, again, new to me. So we were on Jacob Wintergrad's podcast. I don't know why I keep talking about fucking Jacob 100 goddamn times on this. You should stuck your own dick, Jacob, when you hear this. I know you will. You're like, oh, he talks about me. I love it. No, I'm kidding. I love him.
Make a plug montage.
A plug montage of Jacob. No, but we were saying, fuck, now I forgot the example. Giving kids hormone blockers.
Mm.
And that came up. And we were talking, and I was saying, well, technically, I guess in the classic libertarian philosophy, your kids are your property. So what you do to your kids is your business. Mm. But I was going, no, I don't care, though, because you're hurting a child.
Yeah.
So, like, I want to fight you. Like I want to break all of the NAP and all that shit because I think what you're doing outweighs the NAP. Mm. And then you said, "Oh, that's Stirner's thing." And I said, "I don't know what that is." so I looked it up, but I'm gonna, I have the bare bones of what he was saying about it. So please enlighten me and everybody else what I was talking about, and a little more on Stirner and his philosophy.
Oh, I thought you were about to give me your side.
No, my side is this. My side is this. My side was like, basically what I read from him. Again, bare bones is. His thing of property is like he's not. I just want to say he has a little commie in him because he doesn't believe in private. Like he doesn't believe in ownership of property. So like if you buy property, it's like, well, can I take it from you? Then it's mine.
Yeah.
Right. But he's also like, I don't agree with the fact that like it should be taken by a collective because that's also evilly as bad.
But he would even then agree. But if the collective can do it, then sure. But like his thing is like
that's commie shit though.
It is, but it isn't. You got to think of it. He's looking at an individual. Like basically that like it's the egoism is or like Stirner who like made egoism essentially like it's just individualism at its like fucking reductio ad absurdum. To like it's which I mean for those who don't know what that is, it's like a logical proof you can apply to something to take it to its logical conclusion.
I'm sorry, can you describe it as like nihilistic individualism essentially? Like you just kind of do what you want, like because you think it's like I'm allowed to, right?
Basically, I mean, but and a lot of people do like apply like negativity to that, like oh well you could just go do this, and you could just go do that, and you could do this, but you got to think like what Stirner is advocating is everyone be like that. And like, how is that like, let's say, okay, we're talking essentially morality here, essentially like what you can or can't do. Now, we as Austrians like to think of things in a market sense and like competing values or competing products. If you applied that to morality or like how individuals act and behave, how is this any different? Because he's saying this is kind of how you all should be, like essentially acting as individuals, doing what pleases you. And that people also attribute negativity to that. But it's like, say, for example, it's like me and my family. I'm a husband because I love my wife, because I want to be with my wife. I'm a father because I like my kids, because I want to be with my kids. If I'm in a place and I don't want those things, I probably shouldn't do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's kind of that same thing where it's like, so the point I'm getting at is like, this is just competing, like it's literally, if you really think about it, it's kind of like are libertarianism to its like greatest extent, essentially, because it's like you're competing amongst each other. So it's like, yes, technically by his theory that if I'm able to go take some property, it's mine. I mean, it is. I mean, but then it would be like if the community is like, well, we don't like that, and they take it back, then well, now it's not yours. So, like, that's really what it is,
right?
You know what I mean? So it's like if people do apply this might makes right thing and like scoff at it, but it's like if you apply it towards every individual, I mean, it's basically just describing reality, essentially. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
No, I guess it's because it's new to me. I haven't really I got a chance to like look into.
Yeah, it's hard to wrap your mind around
because I just keep thinking like, yeah, but like it's fucked up just to take somebody's shit because you can't. Like I can, but I don't. Like, you know.
But do you want to? That's my thing, though. Do you want to?
But people do want to. But people do want to.
But you don't. So
yeah, but I feel bad for the guy who does.
You're competing individual against that other individual. So, and I think most people are like me or you and don't want to go kill their neighbor and steal their house.
Right. I also
and even for those ones, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but even for the people who are those bad actors, you have these competing actors like us. They're like, what the fuck? Like, I don't like that. So therefore, I'm going to do something about it.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So
right. I get. But then, like, I guess some murder's not a thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not a law. It's just like it is what it is. It's we get to that point, right? Like, I mean,
essentially, but at the same time, that doesn't mean you. I mean, with the whole might makes right thing, it's like, yes, this person can go murder someone, but at the same time, you can then go murder them. So
right.
You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean we can't set up rules against that. He's just saying like be an ultimate individual. That doesn't mean you can't have your. I mean, that's why I'm like kind of getting, it's kind of undergirds everything. It's really just a way of looking at like morality and stuff. Like I'm not doing things because I'm obligated to do them. I'm doing things because I want to do them. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I say it kind of undergirds it. Like you can totally, like, if you genuinely think communism, it like works towards the good of man, which I don't, you can kind of undergird that with an egoism perspective. And same goes for like an ANCAP. And that's kind of how I look at it. Like the reason why I abide by the NAP is because I believe it's the best thing for me. And it's the best thing for the things that I'm interested in, like my family, my friends, stuff like that. Because I genuinely believe that behaving this way inspires others to behave this way. And in turn provides peace, which I like and want. You know? No,
that's fair. No, again, I'm not even super again. Yeah. It's just trying to figure it out and like, you know, trying to poke at it and see where, because it's very interesting to me.
Yeah.
It's just, the fact I've always said that too way before I heard of Stirner, the whole, it's like bullies only stop winning because like laws and stuff, like really, and like civilized society. Because like you said it, the only reason I don't beat the shit out of somebody who fucking is physically weaker than me, who runs their mouth, is because like, well, I have consequences legally that I could get in trouble. But like reality wise, like I could fucking kill this guy and he can't stop me. Like there's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do to stop me if I wanted to. But but what stops me is, like you said, like so many other reasons.
Yeah. And even if you are in a situation where as an egoist, you like, I want to kill that guy. Like say you do genuinely want to murder that dude or beat the shit out of him. You also are like with the knowledge that there are other people that probably wouldn't be fans of this. You know what I mean? So like it literally is just like, you can kind of apply the same like libertarian principles or Austrian economic principles and literally just bring it down to an individual level and how you behave. Like, and it's the same basic thing. There's like essentially a competing market. Like if I do this action, this result will happen. If I do this action, this result will happen. You know what I mean? Like, but at the end of the day, I'm kind of doing it for the benefit of me at the very end of it. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
So in my example, like we were talking about where I was like, well, I don't believe in giving kids that fucking stuff because it's child abuse. I don't care what you say, you know, and you were like, yo, it's, you know, but you could do that. And you were saying, again, I believe, I don't want to misquote what you were saying, but you're saying like, but you know that like that you're taking consequences by doing that. So like, yes, you're breaching private property. Yes, you're fucking beating the shit out of two parents, whatever the fuck you're doing. But doing so, you know that there's consequences to those actions, but you're doing it because you think it's like your right or your like right. I believe is what you're telling me. Yeah,
I mean the way Stirner kind of looks at rights is not in the way we look at rights. He's like, I always like to do like, I don't know how deep you're into philosophy, but there's the ought is. Yeah, and I like to apply the ought is to it because essentially I see natural rights is what ought to be, which I know a lot of people watching this are probably gonna get all butthurt because they all like to act like fucking Austrian, like not like Austrian, but fucking the natural rights are fucking objective. I genuinely can't wrap my mind around them being an objective thing I genuinely think there's subjective things, or it's something you ought to do, and I think we ought to do. I genuinely think we ought to abide by like the concept of natural rights, because I think that's what leads to the best results. But like to me is like Stirner's concept of rights or egoistic rights, where it's like it's kind of what is. So that and it sounds silly and useless, but it is kind of like provide a different way of looking at things, where it's like it is genuinely like in that example, if you go beat the shit out of that person and nothing becomes of it, like say no one ever like, returns might against you, you were right in doing that. There was nothing that stopped you from doing that. Clearly you were in a situation where the community didn't care. So, I mean, screeching about natural rights is essentially meaningless because like it happened. So like, are you going to do anything about it? No? Okay, cool. Shut the fuck up. Like, it's really what it comes down to. And so, like, if you were in a situation, the way I think Stirner would probably look at it, I mean, well, for those listening, if you read Stirner, I feel like people like me or like Magnus who do like to talk about Stirner, Stirner, the way he writes is so like esoteric that like it's kind of my interpretation of Stirner. You'd have to read it. He's very has a weird way of writing.
I read he like refers to himself in like the third person.
Yeah, shit like that.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I read. I was reading passages of him trying to figure it out. But yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's kind of almost like the Bible, where you're like, well, like you can't be like, well, I'm saying objectively, this is what the Bible says. You're like, here's my interpretation. That's kind of the same thing with Stirner. He's not super clear in a lot of shit he says. But yeah, basically, I think what I was getting at is that like if you were able to do it and nothing became of it, you were right. But if someone then did something against you, they were right. Like, so you weren't right. So like, I don't know. I might have been on another point, but I lost my track. But yeah, he's just kind of describing what is, and where describing what ought to be is great and all. But in certain situations, when you're like, okay, well, this happens. If someone's like, well, you just broke the NAP, you're like, okay.
Right.
Like it's with that hormone blocker situation. If you beat the shit out of that some dude because he's trying to fucking give his kid hormone blockers, and say you're in an area in a community and no one gives a shit. Like, and they're kind of like, yeah, fuck that dude. Like, okay, some other guy can come in and be like, hey, that wasn't cool, man. You broke the NEP, and it's kind of like, okay, cool.
Right. This is why it's hard. I think it's hard to wrap heads around because it's so what you view to be moral and immoral almost. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, that's subjective, like comedy. It's like I might think someone's funny, you might think he's not. So it's the same thing. It's like, well, okay, I'll flip it. Let's say I'm accidentally in a community of fucking pedophiles, let's say, and I beat the shit out of a pedophile, right? We could all agree pedophilia is wrong and bad and the worst thing ever. But now let's say I'm in that community, right? And they're like, oh, you just killed one of our boys. Now we're gonna fucking beat you up. And well, now are they right? Because the community fucking, but they're
per sense of egoistic rights, sure. But that like I'm not like Stirner would describe he has it known for like calling things spooks, and by that he just means like meaningless. Mm-hmm. And so he would say morality is a spook, which I kind of agree with him, and like, it's kind of meaningless. So the point being that if you're in this community of pedophiles, first off, why the fuck are you in a community of pedophiles? Yeah, right. But okay, for the sake of the hypothetical,
for the story, man.
For the sake of the hypothetical, you're in a community of pedophiles. And say you kill some pedophile for doing pedophile shit. Yeah. Obviously, the other pedophiles are probably going to have an issue, and they're going to seek vengeance. And you saying, well, I was in the right, it's kind of like, okay.
Right. What good is that if you're dead, though, right? Like, exactly. Yeah, like, right. Like, yeah, you're right, like, but they thought you were wrong, and they won.
Yeah, exactly. So it really is. Magnus put it well in my. I did an episode of Magnus, like for part of the Anarchist Handbook thing in my series I'm doing. But he put it well in saying that Stirner is like kind of the best self-help book there is when it comes to anarchy. Because we do get caught up in this like, well, that's an NAP violation. That's an NAP violation. That's an NAP violation. It's like, okay.
But that's what anarchy.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do about it? Nothing? Okay, then cool. Like, okay, keep elaborating about theory. That's all great. Like, are you going to do anything about it? No? All right, well, then you're just making mouse sounds. Like, who gives a fuck? Like,
this rolls into, and this was the last thing we talked about, we can wrap it up after this, but like this kind of rolls into the whole thing where you're a believer of well, the LP route kind of is shit. And like again, philosophy and all that, right? The LP has a certain philosophy, and guys like Pete Quinones, and I'm even starting to think a lot of like, hey, I don't I don't know if we're at the point to upholding the NAP so much. like I feel like the way the tyranny around us is moving, we're just going, well, that's a violation of the Constitution. That's a violation of NAP. And they're going, yeah, we know. We don't care, though. We're still doing it. And we're still going, but you can't. They go, we know, but we're doing it. At what point do we go, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. We got to fight. We got to do what we got to do.
Are you like saying like some sort of like boog boy type shit?
No, just as a party messaging, even being like,
okay. Like whenever
because you're saying like the LP is like a shit platform to run on, and like I tend to agree with you because of all the reasons everybody else fucking says, and I don't want to parrot anybody else's shit, but it's true. It's like the messaging sucks. I mean, now it's getting good because of fucking Dave and Tom and everybody and Heist, but like, let's be honest. This is it. We got to do it or we're out. So it's like, if we don't, okay, where are we at again? Just telling the fucking right and left, don't do that to us. And they go, well, we're going to do what we want.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of, I mean, I know there's a bunch of different ways I could go about this, but yeah, I do want to say preemptively that like, I do think when we're talking tactics, you're very much in subjective world. So I have my opinions. That doesn't mean I'm right. And I'm in no way being like, this is some logical proof that I have. Like, this is just like my thoughts. Cause we're kind of talking about like essentially social science when we're talking about like tactics and stuff and how, this affects people and stuff like that. But I just can't see how this like third party idea really works. Like most people know it's like a joke, like, oh, as an agorist, but like that's kind of how I see. But even then, like, I guess, like I kind of have like an order of preference. Like, so I think agorism is like the best way to go. And the next one would probably be like Hoppa's like what should be done kind of local type shit. And then after that, even like paleo, and then like last like the LP, to be honest. Cause like I feel like I can make better arguments for all of those. Cause like for the LP, it's like you guys have no real power.
Agreed.
All you have is messaging. But your messaging is corrupted by the very fact you're utilizing a political party. And I don't mean, so I'm saying a lot of people will get caught up and be like, make an argument. And I get it. There are legitimate arguments to be made that you can like exist in a political party and not be like breaking the NAP or some shit. I'm not saying that. I'm saying to normal people, when you're like, here's this message of liberty and, fuck the government and we shouldn't be involved in politics, not involved, but politics shouldn't even be a thing. And then you're like, this is coming from political party. It does have a little bit of it does kind of muddy the waters a little bit. Like I feel like I don't feel like that's saying much to say. It does muddy a little bit. And I don't feel like you even get a trade-off for that. Like to where it's like, so you're muddying the waters a little bit, I mean, just so ever so little, and then you don't even have any power. So it's like, what are we getting out of this? Like the occasional good messaging? Because like you even mentioned, we have Dave now, we have Tom, we have those guys. What the fuck was going on before this? And even before that, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, we're taking it back, but okay, for how long? Like, how long is this you're just going to consistently forever, this is going to be saying like, why is the LP in the state that it's in or was? I mean, it's getting better sort of, but I think I'm of the theory of the thought that I think it will just slip back into where it was before. And a lot of people are like, oh, this is defeatism. And I'm like, no, I'm just thinking this is a silly tactic and there are better tactics to be had. So, I mean, and sure, I guess prove me wrong. I mean, and I know a lot of people get all upset and be like, oh, well, why are you criticizing us? Like we should just do everything. And I'm like, okay, but I clearly don't think what you're doing is conducive towards your ends. So I'm just trying to convince you. If you don't want to take it, don't. I don't give a shit. Like, it's not really that big of a deal to me. I generally don't even really like dwell on tactics, but everyone wants to talk to me about it because like my thing is like, if it's going to be divisive, I don't see the point because I'm not going to convince you if we're like yelling at each other. And then also, but at the same time, you're not my enemy. Like, say for you, you're more convinced LPMC route. We're not enemies. Like, I just think that your tactic is not ideal. That's genuinely what it comes down to. So there's no reason for us to be at odds. For sure. I can try to convince you. If you don't like it, there's no reason to be like, well, fuck you. Like, there's no reason for it at all. And at that point, I've lost you because you are someone I would legitimately kind of want to convince. So wouldn't it make sense just to be friendly? Like, and like, oh, maybe you buy into my arguments at some point. I'm also not going to be annoying and try to have this argument with you all the time because no one wants to be the guy that's like, well, he wants to talk about agorism again. Like, you know,
Dude, I'm not even.
so
I'm not super anti-agorist at all. It's just like, again, there's just
yeah.
we only have very small differences in opinion between. I'm very open to a lot, and I also am aware to our own, criticisms and shit, like for our stuff, and I agree with some of those criticisms for sure, because I'd be lying and it wouldn't help again. But it's like the humbling shit, right? It's like, what am I just gonna get cocky and be like, no, no, I know we have fucking issues, and I know we can
Yeah.
be better. Again, I'm this fucking state board rep for Bucks County and PA, like for the state party and like these meetings are just fucking 4 hours
It's
of
awful.
bullshit on a
Yeah.
Saturday. I'm like, I have shows to do. Like, I can't fucking be at this fucking Zoom meeting for 4 hours. But like, this again. It goes to your point. They are so worried about. I mean, the old leadership, not the They're so worried about getting people into office, but they don't matter.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. Like, you're not gonna win governor, so stop. You're not. They're running for like inspection of elections and stuff like that. I'm like, how does that help improve liberty? How does it help spread the message of liberty? It doesn't. I'm like, no one's ever went, hey man, a poll guy, what do you sway? Oh, tell me about it. That's never happened one time. You're wasting money. You're wasting time. I'm not, listen, if it's unimposed, you're fucking running, I guess. But like, the fact that we're wasting like this time for nonsense, like, we should be, messaging draws in people to get what we want. Running the constable as a libertarian means fucking nothing. No one gives a shit. No one gives a shit. So I'm with you. It's not great. Like, it's not great. And they're hell bent on it. We're hell bent on being like, no, messaging. They're hell bent on like, no, election. It's like, all right.
Yeah,
It's
just a losing game, and even for messaging, because that's probably the best argument I can get from that, like the LP types, is messaging. But it's just like, even then, like, I feel like it's a shit vehicle because it's attached to, even now, say we have a small window of period where we have like Dave Smith, people still think of the LP and they think of Joe Jorgensen, they think of Gary Johnson. So it's like it has all these things baked into it, and a lot of people will be like, oh, well, fucking the Libertarian Party has the name Libertarian and it exists, so we should try to take it over and make it more like us. But for me, I had Buck on my show a while, and like I said this, I was like, if anything, that's more of an argument for like distancing yourself as far as possible from it, because it's kind of this implicit confession that it's trash, and like, this is a representation of you. And I feel like it's far more reasonable to be like, to distance yourself from it than to try to like overtake it and what somehow manage to keep it for what, and do what with it. Like, get a small period of time where you have messaging, and then I'll only put winded sails for when you inevitably leave later. Like,
can I tell you what I think it might be? And I maybe for me, I'm only speaking for me, but there's almost like a fantasy, like, hope, like, we're gonna win we're gonna do it, and it's like this little kid faith I have, where it's like, we'll do it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is. That's kind of what, because if you, I feel like, and again, speaking for me, maybe some other people out there, if you give up on the party and it's totally, and obviously there's nowhere else to go, right? Like, that's almost you being like, whatever happens, happens. I'm just in the fucking up in the wind, and the wind will carry me, and I have no say what goes on. And it's like that fear of like intangibility, or just fear of nothingness again, right? Of just being a political free spirit. I think that's what holds a lot of people onto that party, for sure.
Yeah, but then it's just this illusion of that you're going to make some sort of difference in controlling things. Because I know a lot of people be like, oh, well, you're just going to give up. And it's like, no, I'm out here living my life. I'm fucking, influencing those around me. I'm making moves, trying to distance myself from the state where I can. And there's far more actual room for me to be able to do anything sort of meaningful on an individual and localized level than there is at that level. Like, I'm not gonna be able to influence that. So then a lot of people are like, oh, we're just gonna give up. And you're like, yeah, kind of, for that specifically. That doesn't mean we can't influence in other ways. Like, giving up on the Libertarian Party is not giving up on libertarianism.
Right.
Like, and that's kind of the problem, is so many people conflate those two. Like, even me a couple years ago, I would conflate those things. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of brought on like how we have this like idea of like the long shot of like, well, what if fucking Dave does it? And and a lot of people get upset. I'm not saying there is a large faction of people who legitimately think Dave will win, but there are people out there. But I am saying me at probably a little bit before the JoJo thing. I was kind of like, it was actually probably more the Jacob Hornberger thing, because I was like, dude, if this guy gets in, he's good shit. Like, people are gonna hear him, they're gonna hear his message, and they're gonna be like, holy shit. And like, yeah, maybe he won't win, but they're gonna get so much percent, and we're gonna fucking then get in this thing and then that thing. It'll be fucking awesome. And then you realize, like, you start getting a more realistic view of things. You're like, oh, that's not happening. And like, it's just not. So like, I don't know. It's just this like illusion that we're gonna, and maybe that's a folly of like people who are like newer to the theory. Because even I'm not saying like the LPMC guys or whatever have this thought that Dave's gonna win. Like, I feel like most of us have a realistic expectation of what's going to happen, but there is something among the newer libertarians who are like, well, who knows? But there's something I think about the Trump phenomenon that I feel like this was a more prevalent thought, the long shot that we're going to get it before Trump, because I feel like we saw the effects of when essentially the third party guy gets in, what happens.
Right.
They don't do shit all that they want to do. I mean, they get to do the stuff that they want to do that isn't a hindrance to the establishment. The stuff that they want to do that doesn't happen. It just doesn't. They'll find ways around it. And if you really are that much of a nuisance, they make convertibles. You know what I mean? So
exactly. That's the other thing too. That of course, you just don't want to say out loud because it's sad, but it's true. They'll never let it happen. The left or right, both of them, because they're two heads of the same snake, right? Like they're Joker and Batman. You need each other to survive. So it's like, again, like I talk to Larry Sharp all the fucking time. And he'll say him getting on the ballot in New York was like, hey, get 25,000 signatures for us. He's like, okay, got it. They're like, cool. Actually, you know what? Make it 50. He's like, what? Make it 75. Yeah. It's like they just make up their own rules. It's like they don't want you or us or any. Like it's them. It's their fucking structure.
And even then they might get in, but the ones that would get in would be the ones that are acceptable. So the ones who do get in and hold the fort down are the ones who have conformed to some extent.
Right.
Because like, for example, Trump, like he clearly got the picture fairly early on, and some of the things that he realized were no, don't do that. The people, the Yamakas are going to get upset. Like they backed off those things. Like the same thing would happen. Like for example, Robbie Suave today had some shit take about the vaccine. Like I could see him. Like, I mean, maybe like still don't think it would happen, but like, so let's say 20, 30 years on the line, say us as fucking libertarians, we still continue to put energy into this thing that's the Libertarian Party. I think you're building up. The only thing you're building up is the possibility of maybe a presidency like that, because like something like, say if they ever did get like, say one of the major parties kind of fucking flopped, and then the Libertarian Party took its place. For one, just in that very act, I think it would then start being shit. But that would kind of pave the way for somebody like a Robbie Suave or some shit to be a president, because he's a libertarian. But let's be real, there's nothing about him that threatens establishment.
No, very status quo.
Yes,
he said a very status quo thing today.
Yeah. I mean, there's a vaccine thing. There was
no fucking like again in the LP Texas party.
It was like I had a tweet I deleted because I was like I didn't want to lose my account. I just got off a 7-day, so I was like, I think the next one might be a Knicks. So by the way, I called Jeremiah a fucking annoying faggot. So that was what got me the 7-day.
Yeah, you can't. You just, dude. I will make sure I say any other word on Twitter.
I was kind of in a very the savage part of my brain was outpacing the tactical part of my brain in that moment.
Yeah, it's fair. No, it's fair. But like I've learned, I've got bit like that from them. So I was like, I can't do that. I just gotta say, I have that meme that says "okay" and it's a bundle of sticks.
Yeah,
I just post that a lot because the way around it, I get to say it, but not really say it.
Yeah,
here's the point across.
God, what was my point? Shit, I had a point. Fucking too many beers deep. Fuck. I had a tweet for fucking Robbie Suave. I ended up deleting it, and it was just a picture of his profile pic. And I was like, "This is the face of a man who sucks dick for coke."
He looks like an '80s coke dealer.
Yeah,
he does.
Well, I don't know. He just kind of seems like the twink that hangs around with coke dealers.
Yes.
Yeah.
You ever see Boogie Nights?
I've seen bits and pieces.
Okay,
but...
remember the scene where Alfred, I think it's Alfred Molina, is like throwing fucking fireworks and shit just in his apartment. They're trying to get coke.
No.
And there's like this little Twinkie guy who's like his housemate, essentially like his houseboy. Yeah. That's Robbie Suave. For sure. That's a reference for everybody gets that lands though. I guarantee you that they think it's funny.
Yeah, I was really upset to delete that tweet because like this is a good tweet, and I was like, But it's like, I do not want to lose my account over this.
But yeah, no, but like the Libertarian Party of Texas, like, you know, being like, I forgot what their shitty on about slavery or something like that. It's like, yeah, man,
I've had it blocked for a while. So
I'm like,
it's
slavery's
delightful.
bad, dude. We know. Like,
Yeah.
what's the bravery in tweeting out that? Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
It's like, we know who you virtue signaling to. I tweeted out, like, nice virtue signal, cunt. And then, like, someone was like, well, it's not virtue signaling if it's true. I go, that's the dumbest. Of course it is. We all, it's
Yeah.
like, I'm like, oh my. So I said, my reply was like, you're right. Murder's also bad. So is pedophilia. So is theft. Wow,
Yeah.
what a hero I am.
Yeah.
I said
No,
the
they're,
obvious.
I would anyone on Twitter I think should block them.
Yeah.
Just the little bit of reach I have, I think anyone should block them. And we actually got in hot water, me and the other Tower Gang homies, because the fucking
I know.
Yeah, the
I know.
LPMC guys,
Yeah, I know.
not the major guys, but the Texas ones got
Yeah.
butthurt about that.
Yeah,
and we
yeah,
were
yeah.
just kind of like, well, fuck you, we're blocking them.
Well, I would say they weren't, but they were more like, hey, can you play nice for our benefit?
Guys, stop it.
And we were like, no.
Yeah, no, I think
Figure
it's
it
like
out.
if they had, we had talked about this, and I told them that if they had at that point, like we literally have a show where we completely break down our fucking philosophy when it comes to this, like these type of social interactions. We've said many a times how our bullying works. So for them, their moves for them should have either ignored us, and
Yeah.
it would have died down, and
Yep.
but they fed into the energy, they upped it in the algo, or embrace it. Like those were their two options. Because if they engage, if they come out with, hey guys, we shouldn't be doing this, let's come together, we're like, fuck you, nerd.
Yeah, I know.
So
Well, again, it's that because it's like, yeah, but they're the ones who are starting it. Like, it's always that. It's always like, we're not. It's them. We're just responding to their fucking bullshit. Like this is the argument I've had with my wife and my parents, and like finally my wife's kind of getting it because of a personal thing that happened to her recently. But like, I would react to something fucked up. Like, so someone just, if my mom says something fucked up to me, I react by yelling because you did a fucked up thing, and they would go, well, you're yelling, so you're wrong. I go, but well, hold on. I'm only yelling because you did a fucked up thing. If you didn't do the fucked up thing, I wouldn't be yelling. They make it out to be like the response is worse than the fucking initial thing.
yeah.
Right? It's the same thing with these fucks. They go, they poke the bear. We go, what the fuck, dude? And they go, wow, you guys are fucking animals. And you go, yeah, but that's not as bad as you started in the poke. It's always, they always weasel their fucking way out of it.
Yeah. I just embrace it and double down. That's the move.
Oh, yes, you have to do. I
Like, I don't
also the other way I decided to debate these idiots is you don't debate them. You just call them nerds and dorks.
Mhm.
And they can't handle it, and they'll hit you with like a fucking paragraph, and you just come back with like, I'm not reading that, loser, and like they can't handle it.
Yeah.
And that's how you, because they're not looking for genuine debate. They're not. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, people who are on Twitter, I've had plenty of actual discussions with who are plenty of great interaction. I think about the fucking assholes out there who just want to try to fucking shit post you, and like you're like, all right, well, I'm not gonna engage in this because I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
I'm a comic. I'm just gonna shit on you, and you're
Yeah.
gonna get so fucking mad about it because I'm not engaging in it, and you're gonna be like, oh, I'm not reading that, nerd. You know, and they're like, what, I'm not a nerd. I go, kind of. And then you go that back and forth, and they can't handle it, and then you just leave the conversation.
Yeah, I've gotten very block heavy as of late. Has been my move, but I do like to do that as well. It depends though. Like I feel like for a block, for like someone like that, like someone I'm arguing with like that, like and someone that I see as essentially enemy, I probably won't usually block them. It's more the people that I feel like are somewhat in the circle, essentially, if you will, or some circle. For example, I blocked David Fight the other day. Like, so
Yeah.
in a certain way, he's kind of, but for me, it's just kind of like, what? I'm not feeding to this. I'm over it. And then I usually will put like a quote tweet or some shit and like kind of signal.
Yeah.
It kind of like, you guys should too. Like, there's no reason to interact with this.
Well, the Star
individual.
Wars one was the best one. That was
Yeah.
I
obviously.
blocked
Yeah.
him because he just had. But like I still I don't respond to like fucking Archie and those guys. But I still don't have
Yeah.
to block because I like to also see them get shit on.
Yeah.
So it's fun for me to. But I stopped engaging. I don't engage anymore.
Yeah. Which, I mean, to be fair, for you, I mean, you find value in it. Just keep I'm not saying
Yeah.
you should or shouldn't. For me, it was just like with Archie, I had blocked. And there was a period of time where I was like, it was fun to watch him get shit on. But after a while, you're like, okay, I've seen enough. Like, and that's kind of where I'm at. So I've seen enough. And it was the same way with the Nick Sarwark thing. Like, we're like, I've seen enough. This guy, it's an internal ratio. It's obviously not working. He's still going. So let's just block him. Like,
Yeah.
like who cares? And that's kind of where I was at with Archie. I blocked him too, just because it's like I don't really. I'd rather see other shit. I have no reason to interact with him whatsoever. He's irrelevant. So,
dude, fair. We can wrap it up on blocking those tools. Jose, please plug all your stuff before you get out of here and wherever we can find you.
Yeah, I got the No Way Jose show. I'm on YouTube. I'm on all the major podcatchers. I just got monetized, so I'll be doing streams and shit. So be there. Give me money in super chats. I like money. That's cool. I got the tower. We do the Tower Power show. I'm like one of the recurring hosts. Basically, how it works is we have Toad and Fat Dave. They're like basically always there, and then me and Nick Ashley will kind of swap in and out. And also, like Reed and Clint are like kind of like members as well, so they'll pop in occasionally. So yeah, I mean, it's like if you're gonna do the circle, the very, very inner circle's Toad and Fat Dave, and outside that's me and Nick, and then outside that's Clint and Reed. And that's basically Tower Power Hour. But I show up there occasionally. It's a fun time. But that shit's blown up. I don't know. I don't get it all. They only like 30 episodes deep, and they're already like over. They're like at 1.6K. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, it was funny. We had in no way. Like, I knew it'd do well, but I didn't know it'd do that well. It was just like we just wanted to have like a place to talk and have fun, and we get so many accusations of being grifters, and like, dude, like we were just like, hey, let's talk shit and be retards, and people liked it. I don't know what to tell you.
Dude, when I did it, I had so much fucking fun on that episode. That was so much fucking fun.
What was the topic for yours? I don't even remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I do want to do an episode with all you guys one day and actually like do a live, because I don't go live, but like I do want to start. When I get to the monetization level of YouTube, I think I'll start to do some live streams and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
But like I do
face that super chat, baby.
Yeah, I do. I do want to have like the whole like the Tower gang on and just us and just fuck around and have a good time. I think it'll be a fun episode. But dude, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Just has to get the fuck out of here. You have to get the fuck out of here, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a super blast. Again, everybody, follow me on all my shit. You know where it's at. All right. I'll get Reed Coverdale next episode. Check that out.
Coverdale.
Come on out. Later.
But thanks for having me, though.
Yeah, for sure.
It was fun.
Of course, dude. Absolutely. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, and I'll reuse this on my show. So
absolutely. Dude, all right. Thank you, Jose. Everybody else, later.
Thanks for listening. Find Adam on social media, Twitter and IG @AdamNutter, or Facebook and TikTok @AdamNutterComedy. And for podcasts and merch, check out www.droptent.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.